Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my bookstore. It is Natalie, and today I think I have a pretty sad book for you. Now, it's not super sad, it may not make you cry, or maybe I'm just a weirdo. So what is the book this week? The book this week is called They Both Die at the End, which is like a huge spoiler, isn't it? If the title didn't already sell you that this is a pretty emotional book, I don't know what will, but we're gonna do our best to just start with the description. We here at Last Friend Inc. are collectively sorry for the loss of you. Our deepest sympathies extend to those who love you and those who will never meet you. We hope you find a new friend of value to spend your final hours with today. On September 5th, a little after midnight, Deathcast calls Mateo Torres and Rufus and Materio to deliver some bad news. They're gonna die in less than 24 hours. Mateo and Rufus are total strangers, but for different reasons, they're both looking to make a new friend on their end day. The good news is that there's an app for that. It's called Last Friend. And through it, Rufus and Mateo meet up for one final epic adventure to live a lifetime in a single day. Do you get it? Do you get the vibe? Now, normally these videos are separated into spoiler and non-spoiler parts, but seeing as the biggest spoiler of the book is that they both die at the end, we're gonna do things a little differently this time. There won't be a separate section for spoilers and non-spoilers. I put spoilers in the title so that you guys know ahead of time. I'll just be incorporating information from the whole book into this review. That being said, it's still a super fun book, even hearing all the information you might hear in this, so I'd still recommend reading it even if you do, think you know everything from this review. Anyway, let's start off with our characters, of which we will be getting into two. Mateo. Let's start with him. He is our sweetest boy. He couldn't hurt a fly. And I'm not even joking. A bird dies at some point in the book and he stops to bury it. This poor, poor sweet boy. And as many people in this book will tell you, he literally deserves the world, and it is just the biggest crime to nature that he is going to die at the end of this book. And I mean, he wears glasses. What a cutie, am I right? Now Rufus is kind of the exact opposite. He is our resident bad boy. Kind of. I mean, he's super sweet when you get to know him, but the first time you see him, he is literally beating someone almost to death. So, you know, I mean, he's super sweet when you get to know him, but, and by the way, at a certain point in this book, you'll wish he had killed them, but we're not getting into that. But I mean, he's got a super sad story. His whole family got the Deathcast except for him a few months ago, and he watched them die, and then he ended up in foster care, and now he's gonna die a month or two before he turns 18. I don't know what kind of traumatized you get from that, but I'm sure it's up there. But these two are boys. They're not 18 yet, but they find each other pretty early. The book is segmented into different time slots. It doesn't really go by chapters. It kind of goes by different character perspectives, and then on top of that, it goes by the time that things are happening. I'll give you an example. Random page, Mateo, 4:58 a.m. That's how all the chapters start. So they meet each other around 3 a.m. and they go do a bunch of stuff together. They try to make their day special while being as careful as they can while still trying to live it up a little. They start off feeling a little bit weird about each other. I mean, Mateo has lived his whole life basically in his apartment, and now he's suddenly riding on a boy's bike through the streets of New York at 5 a.m. And they straight up almost die at a few points. Just casually almost die at a few points. Book literally holds no punches. You will be wondering what happens the whole time. And the book puts in more perspectives than just Mateo and Rufus. They throw in some random people and you kind of wonder why are they here? What is their thing? And you won't know until they mention two little brown-haired boys running past, or they'll be a part of an incident the boys were involved in. And it's really interesting because you get to see things through different people's perspectives, and I think that lends a lot to the world building in this book. And those characters, by the way, you learn in each of the chapters if they have the Deathcast or not, which leads even more grievance into what's going on with them. I think it's really interesting how this book tries to get you to understand how the Deathcast affects everybody, not just these two boys in specific. I think it's a great book to read, especially if you need a friendly little reminder that other people do exist and other people are going through things, and even if you don't get a whole lot of interaction with those other people, you should never treat them like shit because you just don't know what they're going through. It also brings up a pretty heavy question, at least to me. I was thinking about making a separate video for this, but I just don't know how that would work. I still might in the future, but for now, just put it in here. Does Deathcast cause some of the deaths it's predicting? I'm sure that some of the people in this world would not have died if they were not out doing things because they thought it was their last day alive. If they were completely unaware, I bet they wouldn't have died the way they did or on the day that they did. Logically, people take more risks when they are like near death or think they're gonna die or want to die. Like, people tend to do more risky and stupid things when they know that kind of information. I think it's a pretty garbage thing that this fake version of the US has this system where like they're pushing people towards a specific outcome. It kind of puts the odds in their favor that they're telling people they're gonna die, when if they didn't tell them, they might not have. Unless this is just some completely fictional place where like they were going to die by any means that day anyway, so it doesn't really matter if they get the phone call or not. But on the other hand, a lot of the deaths in this book are just kind of random events that could have happened to anybody. I think it's really strange, and I hope the prequel goes over it a little bit because I would really like to know how this system works. I already bought the prequel, it's down in my room, but I will be reading it and I will be doing a book review about it, and hopefully it answers my question. But I love the book, I love the characters, I love that there's both sad and love and a hint of sickening sweetness to the whole thing. It makes me so interested, and it made me just want to read the whole thing at once. So I'm going to say something, and really this is the only major spoiler that I put in the book, so if you don't want to hear it, skip ahead like 20 seconds. Mateo and Rufus end up being gay or bi, and they don't have sex or anything, but they do make out, and I think it's really cute. This might seem like it came out of nowhere, but if you actually read the tags for the books or like looked up the book in any way, you knew that it got a little gay, it got a little spicy. Just a warning, if you're homophobic, you might not like this book. You back? Great. Adam Silvera was born in New York City in 1990. Yes, we're getting into author information. He started his writing career when he was about 10 or 11 and started working, as I'm sure most writers do, with fan fiction. He was a barista, he was a bookseller, he was a reviewer, all of these things before he was an author. He's a pretty open guy with his mental health and his sexual orientation being that he has borderline and depression, and he is gay. From what I could find, he has about 13 books and he's working on more. The earliest book I could find was 2015, and the latest book happened just this year in 2024. As I said, he's already made a prequel to this book called The First to Die at the End. This book came out in 2017, the other one came out in 2022. It's unknown if he's going to make another book on top of that, but I think it would be interesting. There's not a whole lot of information known about him online, but that's about what I could find. But anyway, that's my author information for this book on Adam Silvera. Now, I only get so many hours to listen on Spotify, or I would write more reviews a month. This book, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I like the book, it kept me reading. I think there's nothing like grand about it. It was pretty great, I liked the concept, but I don't think it was like the most exciting book I've ever read. I found myself dozing off sometimes, which kind of goes against my earlier statement of it keeping me at the edge of my seat, but trust me, like at certain points you're really invested, and then at other points you're kind of just like, but I did like it. And if you've already read it, please leave your comments in the comments below. But yeah, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and if you've already read it, leave a comment in the comments below and let me know what you thought. But yeah guys, that is all for this video. I will see you next week for a different video. Goodbye!